Hey everybody, welcome to the webinar. My name is Bob Snyder. I get to be your host. I'm looking forward to our conversation today. I think you're going to find it incredibly insightful. And to kick things off, I want to do a little bit of a brain teaser. I kind of like brain teasers, get you thinking right out of the gate. So go with me on this one, all right? Here's a few questions for you. First of all, what does a boxer, a couple from down under, a college student, a bartender, a carpenter's helper, and a bodybuilder all have in common? Now think about it for a minute. Got it? Here we go. Hey, listen, they all invest in real estate, and that's what our discussion is about today. Let me highlight a few stories for you. First of all, Floyd Money Mayweather. Yes, world boxing champion. What a lot of people don't understand is, that Floyd went out and he did some pretty remarkable things in boxing. He made his money in boxing, but he holds his wealth in real estate. In 2024 alone, he purchased 60 buildings in Manhattan for $402 million. Hey, how about Scott and Mina O'Neill? These are Australian real estate investors. They started out, invested $60,000 in their first real estate deal. Over a decade later, they've got $153 million in property with $75 million in equity. And check this out, $6.2 million in annual rental income. Here's another notable figure, Ryan Williams, college student to billionaire. While Ryan was taking his undergraduate term at Harvard, he started flipping homes with his classmates. Now he's a real estate tech billionaire and CEO of Cadre. Hey, here's another one for you. How about Melanie Bedrovic? She's got a great story. Went from bartender to real estate investor. She bought her first home at 22 years old, and hit real estate multi-millionaire status by the age of 27. Donald Bren, great story. Carpenter's helper to real estate baron. Now listen, he started out with borrowing $10,000 to do his very first real estate deal. Now he's the wealthiest real estate investor in the entire country at $8.9 billion. His portfolio includes 590 office buildings, 125 apartment complexes, and so forth. Amazing story. Hey, and last but not least, how about this one? Arnold Schwarzenegger, bodybuilder to real estate investor. What a lot of folks don't understand about Arnold is while he made great money as a bodybuilder and with nutritional supplements and businesses that he started, he made his money there. But listen, that's not where he held his wealth. Arnold bought cash flowing properties to provide income while he was striving for success in Hollywood. While everybody else is washing dishes, waiting tables, doing whatever odd jobs they could possibly do so they could maintain a flexibility of schedule for auditions, Arnold said, not me. I'm going to get cash flow coming in for my rental properties, and that gives me the flexibility to work on my craft, because he always wanted to be an A-class actor. Well, listen, I have my own story, from printing sales to real estate investor and how that transpired. Because I spent 13 years in the commercial printing industry, and I made a decent living for my family, but the challenge was I was never home. And I got so sick and tired of that. I married my high school sweetheart. We had 4 fantastic kids, and I wasn't there for them. And I thought, you know what, there has got to be a better way. So what did I do? Well, I'm certainly thinking about the level of dissatisfaction I'm dealing with. And it was about that time that a friend of mine called me up and said, hey, Bob, let's go to lunch. Let's go to lunch. Love to have a conversation with you. And I said, fantastic. If you're inviting, that means you're buying, right? Anyway, as we went to lunch, I'll never forget what he shared with me. He said, listen, Bob, you're a pretty sharp guy, but I don't understand why you're playing life small. Now, I don't know about you, but whenever I'm challenged, I have a tendency to kind of, bristle up and get defensive. Took me a while to drop my guard because I finally got what he was saying. And about that point in time, he said, hey, you're capable of a great deal more. Here's an incredible book that you really ought to read. Now, that book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and it was a game changer for me. He committed to me to read it. I said, all right, I'm going to do exactly that. And I'll never forget some of the things that Napoleon Hill shared in that book. The one thing that really grabbed me was this. He says, when riches begin to come, they come so quickly in such great abundance that one wonders where they've been hiding during all of the lean years. And I thought, all right, man, if wealth is truly no respecter to persons, you just have to figure out the formula, figure out, the strategy and put the systems in place, then by dang, I am going to go out and make it happen. And that's exactly what I set my goal to do. But I got to tell you, it didn't come without, some challenges along the way. Holy smokes. I mean, I went out, I started a business. It was a part-time business of my own so that I could keep my full-time job. And I worked and I worked and I worked and man, I worked. And I kept thinking, when am I going to get the payoff? This cycle repeated for a while and I just got frustrated, but I kept doubling down and working harder. And I'll never forget when things finally started to break. I'll never forget my first $1 million year. I mean, that was a great year. I'll never forget my first $1 million month. Now that was better. And then I'll never forget my first $1 million day. Let me tell you, man, that was the best. And after that, I really took some time to self-reflect. I thought, what is it that made the difference? Was it what I was doing? And I honestly had to answer the question, no, it wasn't. It was who I had become in the process. And that made all the difference. And I mean all the difference. So the power of intentional living is really a driving force for success, not just in real estate investing, but in anything that you do. And I want to assure you this, is that it doesn't matter where you start, it only matters where you finish. So please don't live the life that you've been given. Design the life that you want, and you have the power to do so. But, just to ask you a few questions, see kind of where you're at, I just want to know, how many of you feel like, you really work hard, but you're still struggling? Or maybe, you're capable of more, but you just feel stuck. How about this? You've tried other solutions, but they just didn't work. Well, if you've been struggling, this is probably why. It's because we have all been lied to. That's right, we've all been lied to. And you'll see what I'm talking about, as I reveal a few things here. First and foremost, we were told that what we needed to do is buckle down, work hard, get good grades. And if you get good grades, then by dang, you're going to get into a good college. And if you get into a good college, you're going to be able to graduate and get a good job. Right? Job. I mean, our entire educational system has been building us for the job market, has been creating more and more workers at different levels of sophistication and intelligence to make things happen. But Robert Kiyosaki had this to say. I mean, here's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He put it into perspective. He said 3 different types of education exist in the marketplace. 3 different types. First of all, academic. Now we know what that's all about. That kind of is the end game for, get good grades, get a good, get into a good college so you can get a good job. There's the academic side of it. And then there's number 2, the vocational side of it, which I see more and more people shifting to. And thank goodness they are, because we need more tradesmen out there, right? We've got the academic, the vocational, and then we have number 3, financial. Financial education. Well, here's what Robert spelled out, and I agree wholeheartedly. He says, you know what? Academic and vocational education prepare you to work for money. Financial education, well, that has money working for you. And that makes all the difference. You want to know how wealth is created? You got to focus on financial education. Now, just to help make my point here, I want to just demonstrate something. This is Congress, right? Smart people, really smart people leading the country. Wouldn't you agree? I know some of you are snickering right now and you're probably going, Snyder, you've lost your mind, right? But there are very, very well-educated people leading the country. Let's put it that way. As a matter of fact, here's some of the numbers. Here's the U.S. Congress academic credentials. 96% of the members of Congress hold a bachelor's degree, at least a bachelor's degree. I mean, that's quite an accomplishment. As a matter of fact, 64% of them also hold at least one graduate degree, at least one, whether that's a master's, law degree, medical, PhD, whatever it might be. So wouldn't you agree that these individuals academically are well educated, right? They should be pretty smart people. Then why is it that our nation, our national debt is over $36 trillion? Trillion dollars. That is absolutely insane, right? And it didn't start with this Congress. No. Let's go back on the history of our national debt. I started in the year 1925, just to give you kind of a look forward. 1925, Our total national debt was $20 billion. $20 billion. Now, fast forward 25 years, by 1950, mind you, we'd already gone through and had to fund World War II, but we were at $257 billion. $257 billion. Now, if we fast forward 30 more years to 1980, things are going up a little bit, $907 billion. Then we get into the year 2000. What happened? I mean, just in the previous 20 years, we increased the national debt almost $5 trillion. And then it seemed like everybody just said, why not pile on? So by the year 2025, 25 years later, we're at $36 trillion. $36 trillion. I mean, think about that. It took us 75 years to get to 5.7 trillion, and it took us 25 years to add on another 30 plus trillion dollars to the national debt. Well, you know what? It's because the system is broken. The system is broken. And every single one of these lawmakers, these decision makers, the folks that we're voting into a position of power and influence, they have one common denominator. Every single one of them, one common denominator. And that is academic and vocational education. They were prepared to work for money. Very few of them really understand the ins and outs of financial education, where we have money working for you, right? And I think that that made a huge impact. Now, some of those philosophies, they continue to trickle down. I mean, we get a lot of folks out there who are preaching and teaching on a regular basis that you could save your way to wealth. Well, I haven't seen it, right? Let's take a look at the total amount that is needed for retirement. Total amount needed for retirement. This slide is beautiful because it really indicates, over on the left-hand side in the red there, you've got the number of years you expect to live in retirement. And underneath the blue banner at the head of this, you've got all of the different numbers here that say, all right, how much do you want to earn each month? The corresponding number down below, where we kind of get a cross-section, well, that just shows you how much you need to save so that you can live that many years in retirement. So for instance, if you want to earn $20,000 a month, have $20,000 a month coming in to take care of you in retirement, and you're going to live that 20 years, you're going to need almost $3.5 million. $3.5 million to live $10,000 a month. Now, if you want $20,000 a month, you got to save up almost $7 million. And here's the challenge with this, is that individuals are living longer and longer and longer. I mean, as a matter of fact, one of the fastest growing segments of our society are centennials. That means individuals who have hit the 100-year mark, the century mark. Think about this. How many of you ever actually think you're going to need to support yourself in retirement for 35 years? 35 years. It's insane. And this is the reason why so many individuals are outliving their retirement. Well, let's take a look at how that shakes out. Now, these statistics are really interesting because they haven't changed in like 40 years, right? 40 years that I've been looking at this chart really hasn't modified much. You get 95% of the population of the United States, by the time they reach the age of 65, or should have, are either dead, disabled, or broke. Dead, disabled, or broke. You got 54%, they're dependent. They're dependent on charities, the government, and their family for their support. Otherwise, they can't make it. You got 36% of those, they're still working. Now, listen, I'm here to tell you, they're not working because they want to. I mean, well, there are a few folks that are. But the vast majority of them are working because they have to, right? And then you got 5%, well, sometimes they're the lucky ones. They're dead. You got 4%, that are financially independent. That means that they can sustain themselves in retirement without having to have government, family, charity assistance. But you've only got one out of 100, 1% there that are what we call, well, with the wealthy, right? And I thought, wow, what is it about, this pie chart that we can learn from? Well, first and foremost, I want to give you the lowdown. This is the investing advice that academic and vocational graduates have been given and generally subscribed to. The investing advice. They say, you want to invest for accumulation. In other words, you want to save your way to wealth, right? The next thing is acquire cash throughout your entire working life and set that aside. The challenge is that when you finally get to retirement, You spend that money. You spend it each year to live on. As a matter of fact, whatever you spend this month takes away from what you have to live on next month. And whatever you spend the next month takes away from what you have to live on the next month. And it creates a mental framework of scarcity around that. The end game, go broke or die. That's all you got. You're either going to outlive your retirement or you're going to die and leave what's left over to somebody else. But that's it. Now, let's take a look at the wealthy 1%, because my parents told me, if you really want to study wealth, don't study the poor, study the individuals who achieved it. So if we take a look at the wealthy 1%, how is that pie chart broken down? Well, first of all, you got 10% of these individuals, they're the high-end professionals. They're doctors and attorneys. You got another 10%, they're CEOs and presidents. You have 5%, they're your super salespeople out there. 1%, I love this little sliver. 1%, lottery and inheritance. Now, I don't know about you, but nobody ever told my dad about this program, right? So I'm on my own. I really am. And then you've got 74% of that pie chart. Well, guess what those folks do? Business owners and real estate investors. And if you own a business, well, or I should say if you're in real estate, you own a business. But here's what I want to really kind of, ask, and that's this. How many of you believe that you're going to get rich working for somebody else? Okay. On the flip side of that, how many of you believe you can help your employer become very wealthy working for them? Then isn't it time for you to turn things around to become the one calling the shots instead of the one taking the shots? See, and that's what our discussion is all about today. Because here's the investing advice for the financially educated students. Here's where it is. First of all, you don't invest for accumulation. You invest for cash flow. Everything is focused around cash flow. You acquire cash flow from real estate, business ownership, and all sorts of different other investments. And then you retire and you live free because what you spend this month is replaced by what you're going to earn next month. And then what you spend the next month is replaced by what you earn the next month. And it creates a mental framework based around abundance instead of scarcity. That's the beauty of it. And then the great news is you get to pass it on to the next generation so that we can give them a leg up and you make this a legacy play. That's the beauty of investing for cash flow, right? But I know, even though we're talked about, real estate, and this discussion today is very much about real estate, I want to ask the question, is real estate for you? Well, I can tell you, real estate is for you if you really want the freedom of passive income can offer so that you can create travel and enjoy life to its fullest. It's for you if you love building relationships and helping people, because real estate plays a very big role in that. If you also want to be respected as an expert and build a reputation as someone who strives to make a lasting impact. Real estate's also for you if you love winning, scaling, maximizing profits so that you can take control of your financial future. Or it's for you if you're just flat sick and tired of building someone else's dream and you really want to build your own. Then it's for you. But what if every single thing you knew about investing was wrong? What if it was wrong? Here's the common myths about real estate investing. And I say myths because I'm going to dispel every single one of these myths before we're done with our discussion today, right? Common myth. Common myths about real estate investing. Right out of the gate, investing is only for the rich. Obviously, that's a myth. How do you think they got there, right? I don't need real estate. I just need to put more money in savings each month. Well, I think we already talked about, and dispelled the issue of saving your way to wealth. Here's another myth. I just need to wait for the right time to start investing. You know when the right time to start investing is? Like 20 years ago? The second best time is today. How many of you, for instance, would have loved to have bought 10 homes 10 years ago? Even 10 homes 5 years ago? Where would you be today as a result of that? Here's another huge myth. I can learn everything I need to know from YouTube. Yeah, how's that working for you? Here's another one. I don't have the time to invest. That's a big myth. That holds people back. Another one. Well, I'm just too young to start investing. Nobody's going to take me serious. Or its counterpart, I'm way too old to start investing. I don't have enough time left to actually make it work. Here's another big myth. Man, I've just got to wait for interest rates to come down. Or I can't invest in real estate if my credit's bad. Or the worst one, I can't invest in real estate because I don't have any money, right? Listen, these are what we affectionately refer to as excuses for failure. Excuses for failure. Or sometimes we change it up. They're better known as excuses that promote failure. Oh yeah. So here's the big question. Are any of these myths holding you back? Now be honest with yourself, right? I mean, be honest. Are any of these myths holding you back? Well, these excuses create what we refer to as justification, and they lead to the painful consequences of inaction. But before I'm finished today, you need to understand my focus is to debunk every single one of these myths and show you how money is being made in today's real estate market in spite of all of the limiting beliefs and excuses that we just covered. First of all, I got to introduce you to a quote from an old friend of mine, Dolph DeRuse. Now, Dolph was one of the rich dad advisors for Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lechter, and he's a great guy. I'll never forget early on when I was learning how to invest in real estate, Dolph would tell me this. He'd say, the deal of the decade comes along about once a week if you know what to look for. I've never forgotten that. He's absolutely spot on. Well, if that's the truth, well, then why is it that some people, crush it, but others get crushed in real estate? Well, I'm going to share with you the top 10 reasons why real estate investors succeed. Top 10 reasons that separate those who don't make it from those who do, okay? Number one, the successful investors continuously educate themselves. They're always in the know and they're always feeding their mind. And let me just impress this upon you. The most valuable real estate that you will ever invest in is the 6 inches between your ears, right? And that's always going to produce the highest rate of return for you as well. Number two, they buy in the right markets. Now listen, there are different markets out there. There are cash flowing markets. There's high appreciating markets. You've got to understand the strategy as it applies to the market, but they buy in the right markets according to the strategy they've chosen. Number three, they prioritize cash flow over speculation. This is huge because I've seen too many individuals who over the years, they throw caution to the wind because they say, well, if everything works out, if the market continues to rise, if, the moon is aligned with the stars in the heavens, then I'm going to get rich. Those smart investors really prioritize cash flow over speculation because they can count on that. That's something more predictable. Number four, they also master the art of due diligence because they understand the importance of investing in themselves and in their business. Number five, they leverage smart financing strategies. Another good friend of mine, Michael Lechter, he wrote this book. He was another one of Rich Dad's advisors. It's called OPM, Other People's Money, right? You've got to be able to leverage it because even though you might not have the right, balance in your bank account balance to buy a property, or you might not have good credit, whatever it is, well, that doesn't mean that, other people don't. And if you understand creative financing and creative property acquisition, you're going to realize you don't need to have that personally because you don't have to use your own money or your own credit. Number six is this. They also treat real estate as a business. It's not a hobby. It's not just some casual thing that they dabble in here and there. No, they're going to treat it like a business. Now, initially, they start out as a part-time business, but then they can move it into being full-time as the income starts to grow. Number seven is this. They also build strong networks and partnerships. They understand the value of relationships. And in this business, in real estate investing, you're going to want to make sure that you surround yourself with some really competent, experienced, amazing individuals. Number eight, they also have multiple exit strategies. In other words, they don't rely on one strategy to acquire a property and one strategy to exit out of that property. No, they're well-rounded. They understand the importance of pivoting or adjusting as the market shifts so that they have multiple strategies on both sides so they never get stuck in a deal. It helps to reduce the risk of investing so the probability of success can then go way up. Number nine. Let's talk about number nine. They also focus on long-term wealth building because they understand that, whether it's business or real estate, it's a marathon, not a sprint. and they want to see it through to the end. And number 10, ooh, I almost feel like I need a drum roll at this point, right? Number 10, they stay persistent and adaptable. Persistent and adaptable. Again, learning multiple strategies, so regardless of market conditions, they can make an adjustment and make things happen so they're always on top and they're always winning. Well, I want to showcase a few of those individuals for you and learn from some of their case studies. But before I do, I got to make the attorneys happy, and they love disclaimers, right? Even though I think we're all intelligent people here, we understand that I can't guarantee any level of money, success, or lifestyle from either using the Renatus education or investing in real estate. I got to make sure that we point out the obvious. Every single one of the stories or the testimonials that I'm going to share with you, they're all unique to each specific customer. And your results are going to be different and are going to vary depending on a lot of different factors, including your own starting point, effort, and resources. And I also want to disclose this, that because of the way that we help to enroll students, there's a lot of our students who become affiliates. And they actually earn income selling Renatus education. So I need to make sure that we throw that out there as well. Allison Palmgren. This is what I want to lead off with. Allison's got a great story. This gal is a rock star in our community. Here's what she had to say. She said, I actually quit a 6-figure job. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but I felt like I was trapped. So, put in my 6 weeks notice. During that time, I got my education with Renatus and I did my first fix and flip. About 3 months later, since then, I've done 7 flips. I have 2 more that I'm working on. I have learned how to become the bank and lend money out of my self-directed retirement plan and things that I never knew were even possible. Because of this education, I have the freedom to do the things that I always wanted. Congratulations to you, Allison. Great story. Patrick McCrimmon, you got to hear his story. It's another fantastic one. He says, I went into my job March 17th of 2008. I was laid off. I looked for another job for 9 months and finally took one that paid 40% less than I was making. Even working, I was taking money out of my savings just to meet my monthly bills. I had been a W-2 employee for over 30 years and never thought about being a business owner until Renatus gave me options. We have now, so fast forward, right? It says we have now flipped 43 homes, 43 houses, and own 102 rental properties. Wow, that's great. 102 rental doors. This year we moved all the units to property management and retired. My wife and I bought a camping trailer and plan to travel all over North America. Congratulations to you, Patrick. Man, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. So why real estate? Why real estate? Why now? Well, that's a good discussion. First of all, we've seen some inflation over the years, haven't we? Especially recently. Well, real estate is inflation-resistant investment. That means that, if you invest in real estate, the buying power of the dollars don't decrease because the real estate value continues to increase, right? You get appreciating value. You get increasing income from rents, especially as inflation kicks on because, well, your monthly cash flow has got to improve and increase with that as well. It's insurable against loss. Try that one with gold, silver, crypto, or the stock market. But you can insure real estate. The other thing that I love about it, your debt on your real estate decreases over time as your equity also increases over time. And you get to purchase your equity at a discount. Now, what does that mean? Listen, we're going to talk about that as we get into the webinar, but what it really means is this. People that are in financially challenging situations will trade equity for peace of mind, and you get to purchase that equity at a huge discount. But what's the next thing? It's also a hard asset. It's something that you can go over and, you can kick the bricks, so to speak. You can open the front door and you can feel it. You get control over the investment. Because it's your property, you can do with it whatever you darn well please. And it provides multiple streams of income, whether that's long-term rental, short-term rental, whether you're going to fix and flip it, whether you're going to, do a cash out refi on the property, whatever it is, you got multiple streams of income that you can do from real estate. It also saves you money on taxes. That's a huge, huge benefit because taxes are your largest expense in life. And by owning real estate, you get to reduce how much you got to pay to the government. The next thing that's great is this. It helps you to attain financial stability. And generate monthly cash flows. And here's the one thing that I absolutely loved. It is a leveraged investment, meaning that you can use other people's money or the bank's money to buy the property, and that increases your return on investment. And I'm going to show you some examples of exactly how that works, because if you're not familiar with it, you need to get familiar with it. This example that I've got on the board here, I just threw up a little house, and it's just an imaginary home. I shouldn't say it's an imaginary home. It is a home, but I haven't got a clue where it's at. But a nice little 3-bed, 2-bath house, white picket fence, 2-car garage. Isn't that the American dream? Now, the examples that I'm going to give you are to turn this property into a rental property, right? And the example assumes that the property is occupied with tenants and the property taxes and insurance are covered with those rents. All right, let's get started. Here we go. Now, let's just say, and again, this is imaginary figures, because believe me, I think we're all very clear on the fact that purchasing a nice little house like that for $100,000 these days is pretty much a pipe dream. But just to keep the math simple, the retail value, let's say that it's $100,000 on this property, right? If you go to the bank and you say, hey, I'd love to be able to buy this home, they're going to look at you and say, all right, well, yeah, sit down. Let's take a look at it and let's see, kind of where you're sitting as well. Most of the time for a conventional loan, they're going to say, all right, here's what we need. You're going to have to put at least 20% down on this property. 20% down. So if the property is valued at $100,000, they're going to tell you that you got to come to the table with $20,000 in cash. That means that the bank is going to finance the other $80,000, right? 80 grand. And now let's take a look at another number. That's appreciation. Historically, since they've been keeping track, real estate is appreciated at about 5.5% on an annual basis. That's the overall average, right? 5.5%. So let's take a look at that 5.5%. Let's fast forward 12 months after you buy this house. That means 5.5% on $100,000. Well, guess what? Your first year profit simply from appreciation is $5,500. You've grown that much in equity and net worth. $5,500. But now let's figure out your return on investment, because your return on investment is more significant. Why? Because you didn't come up with the entire $100,000. You borrowed 80 of it from the bank. You only put $20,000 of your own money into this property, right? So if you take the $5,500 against the $20,000 you put in, that means your return on investment first year is 27.5%. Think about that, 27.5%. That is huge. Well, how can we make this deal even better? Find a different loan product where you don't have to put so much money down. Let's say you find a loan product where you only have to put 10% down. And if you put 10% down, then you're financing $90,000, right? You're only putting $10,000 cash into the property. Your appreciation's still the same, and so is your first year profit from equity. But here's what happens to your ROI, because now the $5,500 goes against the 10 grand. That means your return on investment first year, that is 55%. Yeah, think about that for a little bit. 55% first year return on investment. Who wouldn't love that, right? If there was a bank out there offering a 55% interest rate, holy smokes, they would have people knocking down their door to deposit the money, right? But you know what? I think we could even do better. We've been talking about, some fairly conventional and traditional methods of investing. What if we do one better? And we actually go out and we find a property that's in foreclosure. You remember how I told you? Those individuals who are financially challenged, really will trade equity for peace of mind, because they don't want to lose their home in foreclosure. And a foreclosure on your credit rating weighs heavier against you than even bankruptcy. So we want to help these individuals avoid that at all costs so that they can get on with their lives and have a fresh start. How do we do that? Well, let's go in and have a conversation. Say we're dealing with the same house, retail value of $100,000. But in this case, because somebody owns it and they've been living in it, they paid that mortgage down over time, right? So let's say we utilize a strategy. It's just one of so many strategies that we teach. It's called subject to. What if we purchase this home subject to the existing mortgage? Now you might be going, can you do that? And the answer is yes. So let's say that, the mortgage on this property is only $70,000. It's worth 100, but the mortgage is only $70,000. Now, the default amount, you're thinking, what's a default amount? That's the amount of money that these people are behind. They have not been making their monthly payments, and that's called the default amount. The bank says, hey, you're in arrears $3,000. We got to get that taken care of. So you got to make sure you pay the $3,000 to acquire this property. Otherwise, the bank will foreclose on the property and, it'll become theirs. Let's say that you're working with the homeowner. All they really are looking for is just a fresh start. But they need a little bit of money so that they can relocate. So let's say that you purchase their equity for $2,000. That means, you're $5,000 out of pocket. Remember that appreciation thing we talked about earlier? 5.5%. Well, that's $5,500 first year as the property, grows in value. You only put $5,000 down, but you started out with $30,000 in equity. By the time you do all the math, the addition and the subtraction, that means your first year equity profit on this property is $30,500. You know what that means? That means your return on investment on the $5,000 that you put in is 611%. Now imagine a bank paying that level of interest on an annual basis. Man, now you really got people knocking down their door. 611% return on investment. And it can get even better. How do you think it can get better? I'm going to show you something that every single investor, every creative, well-educated investor out there not only understands, but banks on. And it's this: why use your own money? Listen, you can easily go out and borrow money from somebody else. You can borrow money from a bank. You can borrow money from private lenders. You can borrow money from more professional real estate hard lenders. Hard money lenders is what they're referred to. But let's say that you borrow the money, so you don't have to put your own $5,000 into it. So that means you put zero out of pocket. No money out of pocket. Guess what your return is now? Well, because you put nothing in, but you got a $30,500 equity profit, after the first year, that means your rate of return, your return on investment is infinite. Infinite. I don't even know how you quantify not putting anything in, but receiving that kind of a benefit. That's why creative real estate investing is so powerful, so attractive, right? And can be so profitable as well. Now, something to think about. Real estate is driven in terms of appreciation and values by supply and demand. It's the single most important thing that determines, housing appreciation and values. Let's take a look at where this country is going. In the United States, right now, we're sitting at about 341 million people that live here. By the time you take into consideration births, deaths, migration, all of the other things that kind of go along with that, they're estimating that, at least according to the U.S. Census Bureau, that the population of the United States is going to exceed 400 million people by the year 2042. That's not that long, to wait. 400 million people. So if you were to take the average persons per household in the United States at 2.6, that means that we've got to build 22 million new housing units by 2042. So supply, demand, right? There is a huge future and a great opportunity in real estate because of the demand that has been created as a result for real estate. Here's what Moody's Analytics had to say. They said the fundamental demand remains strong due to an estimated housing deficit of 2.6 million units, providing a floor underneath housing prices, said Christian Renatus, Deputy Chief Economist at Moody's Analytics. Well, here's what Atom Data Systems had to say. They said year-end 2024 shows that home sellers made $122,500 profit on a typical home sale nationwide, generating a 53.8% return on investment. Yeah, and according to Business Insider, here's what they had to say. An investor purchased 1 out of every 6 properties sold within the second quarter of 2024 and 1 of every 4 low-priced homes for a whopping $43 billion worth of real estate. You need to ask yourself the question, what is it that educated, well-experienced investors understand that the rest of the population does not, right? Because as interest rates went up in 2024, there's a lot of folks who said, I don't know if now's a good time, but the investors leaned into it heavily. In the New York Post, this article really grabbed my attention, and I know it will yours too. It's talking about emerging million-dollar markets. It says several cities, including Boise, Salt Lake City, and Portland, are projected to surpass median home prices. That's the average home price of $1 million by 2033, driven by factors such as high demand and limited housing supply. Well, I thought I'd do a little research. I thought, where are we now? Let's take a look at the median home price as it is, in 2024. Boise, Idaho, 2024 median home price was $481. Salt Lake City, $549. Portland, Oregon, $522. Where are they supposed to go? I mean, in just the next few years? To over $1 million. Here's some of the other $1 million cities according to the New York Post article as well. Colorado Springs, Stockton, Denver, Sacramento, Boston, Honolulu, Seattle, Washington. They say that Seattle, Washington is actually looking to be north of $1.5 million for the median home price. So real estate is also very predictable by comparison to other investment strategies. You don't know whether the price of gold or silver is really going to continue to drive its way upward. You don't know whether or not individual stocks or mutual funds. You don't know where they're going to go, or crypto, or whatever it might be. But real estate, it's got a lot of economic indicators to give you a good feel for where it's going and how you can go along for the ride. Now, I'm here to share with you a few of the game changers that really changed my world. These were the 3 secrets that I learned when I got financially educated and started to really invest in real estate. Secret number one, you don't need money to make money. Let me just emphasize that one more time. You don't need money to make money. That old adage is a myth, especially with regards to real estate. Why? Here's what you need. You need the knowledge to see the opportunity, the creativity to shape it, relationships to access it, and the courage to act on it. That's what you need. You need knowledge and creativity, relationships, and the courage to act on it. Secret number two, reducing taxes legally is your most immediate windfall. How so? Well, if you made, let's say you made $100,000, but you paid $35,000 in taxes. Listen, you don't have an income problem. You have a strategy problem. That's what you have, right? With the right strategy, you could earn the same, but keep an extra $10,000 to $25,000 each and every year. Instead of sending it off to Uncle Sam, legal tax deductions, being in business, being in real estate, could decrease the amount that you owe. Now, the good news is, don't view that as a refund from the government. View that as seed capital for your business. Secret number three, those that understand interest earn it. The rest, they pay it. Albert Einstein called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. Because, debt that is not earning more than it's costing you has a silent tax. And that silent tax is what I refer to as your future freedom. So every dollar that you invest smartly multiplies without you lifting a finger. And the rich, they don't just make money, they put it to work because they're financially educated. We've talked about that, right? So, when we talk about real estate investing and you're going, okay, I think real estate investing is for me. I want the returns, I want the benefits, I want everything else. I've been doing this for a long time. And when I first started out, I got to tell you, learning how to invest in real estate used to be really tough. It was hard. It required a massive amount of time searching for information on each real estate topic that you wanted to learn, because I understood early on that I just didn't want to be a one-trick pony. I wanted to know multiple strategies so that I could move with the market. And it was hard to get that information. It was also hard, because you'd watch a YouTube video or online video after video after video, and you'd only get fragments of what you needed to complete a deal. You'd spend time reading book after book after book, only to realize that, they leave you with a whole lot more questions than answers, right? You had to pay thousands of dollars to one guru to learn short sells. Then you had to turn around and pay another thousands of dollars to learn how to do subject to strategies, only to pay, more to another guru to learn about tax liens. And that went on and on and on and on and on, right? And education also required travel and in-person attendance. So that means you had to take time off work. You had to take time away from your business. You had to travel to some other destination. You had to sit in class for a week. And then it was like, information fed to you from a fire hose. And you had to pay a fortune to attorneys for legal advice and documents every single time you adjusted your strategy even a little bit. You also had to subscribe to multiple newspapers, magazines, and newsletters so you could stay on top of the market shifts to make sure that you were ahead of them. So these are all of the reasons why learning how to invest used to be so doggone difficult. Well, guess what? What we used to do to invest in real estate also used to be more difficult. It was hard to do. This is what we had to do if you were going to invest in real estate. First of all, you had to travel to the county recorder's office multiple days a week to pull records of potential deals. You had to travel from lender to lender all over town to get the money that you needed. And then, unfortunately, you had to wait sometimes weeks to fund the deal. And by the time you finally got the money, somebody else had stepped in and already bought the darn thing. We used to have to do this. We had to find good contractors through trial and error, mainly error. And that was painful and expensive. We also had to manage properties physically and in person, manually build spreadsheets and hope that we got all the numbers right. We had to determine property valuations from unclear and subjective sources. That was always a challenge. Negotiate deals from a weaker position because, we just had fewer options than we've got available to us now. And we had to spend an outrageous amount of money and time on marketing and finding tenants. That got spendy. Also, we had to exercise great patience finding buyers because it was difficult to create awareness for your property. And property closings were lengthy and complicated. Man, I am here to tell you, there is a better way. We have created a better way. And I'm going to tell you about it right now because in Renatus, we have simplified everything. Simplified everything. First of all, we've got 24/7 on-demand expert-led education that's all in one convenient location. You don't have to travel anywhere, right? It's easy to follow step-by-step courses that remove the guesswork. We also have one-on-one coaching that offers expert guidance removing uncertainty. It speeds up your decision-making and helps you to avoid costly mistakes. And then the next thing is, and boy, this is so powerful, our Renatus iOS software to help you to find discounted properties easily. You get to analyze deals, estimate property values, manage rentals, track financings, and streamline your real estate investing business. And it's all at the touch of your fingers on your computer 24/7. You also get to tap into a community of like-minded entrepreneurs and investors to find their most trusted vendors and contractors. And you get to designate a learning partner. Our learning partner program is huge because it allows you to accelerate your growth through teamwork and shared experiences with someone you choose that you want to learn with you. Then, professionally developed real estate forms, agreements, and legal templates that used to cost you a fortune every time you talk to your attorney, they're all available to you and they're just right there in your back office. And that's the other beautiful thing about Renatus. Here's another thing. Time-tested negotiation training, mastering strategies that are used by seasoned investors so that you can consistently negotiate better deals, secure favorable terms, and confidently navigate any transaction scenarios. And the list goes on. How about this? We've also simplified it down. You get regular access to a nationwide community of active investors who share strategies, real-time market insights and opportunities, making networking simple and effectively. Now, why do they do that? Because we have a concept inside of Renatus, and we truly believe that the concept of team means together everyone achieves more. If we're operating from a position, a mental framework around abundance and opportunity rather than lack and limitation and scarcity, then what happens is instead of competition and combative relationships, we foster cooperation because everybody knows that, listen, if you're cooperating and you're working together, you're going to be able to achieve a great deal more. Here's another thing. Innovative techniques like our velocity banking and legal tax strategies They are clearly explained, and they enable you to reduce debts faster and keep more of what you've earned, right? It simplifies your financial life, and it really helps to compound the savings and the income that you're able to derive. Then another thing too, and this is something that's so huge: complimentary lifetime course access and updates following your first year. What that means is that, those of our educational programs that you receive complimentary lifetime access to, hey, you never have to worry about paying us another dime. And you're going to continue to get all the updates so that your information and education is current, relevant, and actionable. And the other nice thing is, anytime we create a new class, we're just going to give it to you for free because we want to support our community. The next thing is this: it's leveraging technology. I mean, talk about simplifying everything. Holy smokes. Technology automates the whole process for tenant screening, rent collection, market research, and property management. It gives you more time, less stress, and higher efficiency. And you get to learn exactly how to leverage creative financing methods like going out and using other people's money, other people's credit, and so forth. Private lending, seller financing to simplify and expedite deal funding without relying solely on traditional lenders. Oh, man. And then also, we help you to eliminate confusion with time-tested step-by-step guidance from 43 practitioner instructors that are actively making their living in real estate, teaching precisely what they do every single day. And then, of course, we have continuous access to industry trends, your forecasts, all of your real-time insights, making it easier to capitalize on market shifts and identify profitable investment opportunities immediately. Also, we've really helped to simplify things by removing uncertainty. And how do we do that? Well, by using time-tested systems and strategies backed by thousands of successful investors, minimizing your learning curve as well as the potential for costly mistakes. You see, at Renatus, this is the advantage. Renatus doesn't just simplify real estate investing. No. It removes the barriers that keep so many people from investing in the past, putting everything you need for success within easy reach. You know what? I've got to introduce you to Tracy Grenny because she's one of my favorite community members, my favorite people. She said this: I've been a dental hygienist for over 30 years when I was introduced to this incredible community. I was making a decent income, but I was paying approximately $15,000 a year in taxes. I have now more than doubled my net income and pay less than $10,000 a year in taxes, and now work a few days a week. The community has become my second family and support system. And congratulations, Tracy. Oh, Randy Pertler, he's had such a great experience here and such a great story. He said this: since joining Renatus, I have completed well over 100 real estate deals, including fix and flips, gut rehabs, buy and holds, short-term rentals, wholesale deals, subject to owner finance deals, and multi-unit buildings. Currently, my focus is in the expansion of our portfolio of luxury short-term rentals and the development of a 34-unit apartment building on a golf course. When some people want to get involved in something, they ask themselves, hey, what is the least amount I can risk? That was not my mindset. Instead, I asked myself, what gives me the best opportunity to succeed? Therefore, I went all in and took full advantage of everything Renatus had to offer, man. And boy, has he been able to capitalize on that. Congratulations to you, Randy. Why is this important? Because it fulfills our Renatus mission statement. Our Renatus mission statement is very simply this: our mission is to create a new generation of real estate investors equipped with principle-centered financial education that empowers them to reduce debt faster, cut taxes legally, negotiate smarter, and invest wiser through educational strategies designed to pay for themselves. That's how we've been able to have such great success and why we have tens of thousands of students all across the country. Students that really come together and build local communities of real estate investors that are meeting, all over the country. Investors who support and help each other. That's the beauty of it. We also do real estate intensive workshops. These are a blast. This is where we generally send out one of our instructors to a different market. Everybody comes and attends on a Saturday, and they're able to meet the instructor, and they're able to get hands-on continuing education that goes along with that. And then our property tours. Our property tours are famous. I mean, people clamor to attend one of our property tours. Why? Because that's when some of our students, or one of our students, they do a deal. They acquire the property, they're in the middle of the transaction, and they invite everybody from the community to come over and see what they're doing. Whether they're fixing it up to hold it, fixing it up to sell it, wholesaling the property, whatever it might be. And that's a great continuing education program as well. In addition to that, cash flow games. We believe in gameplay. We like to have a lot of fun together, especially where we can learn how to get out of the rat race. If you're familiar with Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lecter's great Cash Flow 101 game, you'll know that the whole idea of the game is to get off of the fast track, or I should say to get out of the rat race and then onto the fast track. And it's a fantastic way for folks to learn how to achieve success financially. It's a game built on financial education. I love that. And then we travel to fun places, man. If you love to travel and you love to travel with friends and with a lot of really fun, excited, and intelligent people, this is the place to do it. We've taken our community to Panama. We've been down to Costa Rica. We've been to Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic, Cabo San Lucas. The list goes on and on and on, because we love to have leadership retreats out of the country at fun, exotic, and amazing places. And when we do training, and anyway, it's always a gas. Here's another thing that we do on a regular basis, and that's regional training, so that we can bring more of our expertise and our education, closer to your home, where the community comes together and you get to network with them, meet them, ask questions, find out about the deals they're doing. It helps to build your belief, your confidence, and your competency by attending these things. And then we do our national conference each and every year. You do not want to miss that. Those are always a gas, where we have investors coming from all over the country, and gives you a chance to kind of spread your wings, as well as expand your influence, from your own local market to literally from sea to shining sea. Anyway, I've got a few more case studies to share with you. But before I do, I got to make sure we get our disclaimer read, because listen, I am very biased about Renatus, what we've created for people, the incredible system and environment that we've created for success. But I don't want anybody to leave this webinar with an improper expectation. It requires work and it requires dedication, right? If you're looking for something for nothing, you're looking for a lottery, go buy a ticket, right? But if you're looking for a business, something that can really set you apart and give you a life that, few folks, statistically get to enjoy, well, here we are. So let's go through our disclaimer once again, because Renatus does not guarantee any level of money, success, or lifestyle from using the Renatus education or investing in real estate. All the testimonials or case studies are unique to each specific customer, and your results are going to be different, and they're going to vary depending on a number of different factors, including your starting point, your effort, and your resources. And keep in mind that because of our affiliate program, we actually pay our students to help us enroll other students. So, some of the testimonials or case studies that I share could come from students who also make money selling the Renatus education. All right, with that out of the way, I got to introduce you to Dave Clark, one of my favorite people. I know I keep saying that because they are. My best friends are in this business. Dave and his lovely wife are just outstanding. He says this: I was let go for my job. Then I learned about short-term rentals through Renatus. I've been able to take $3,000 out of my own pocket and turn it into $4,000 a month passively. It has been a huge blessing in my life, and I've been a witness to it. So congratulations to you. I get to introduce you to Umair and Yas Haq. They're out on the East Coast. Man, these guys are rock stars. Umair was a professional fighter in his younger days. And now, he's fighting for a different cause, and that is, helping to grow something that he can pass on to the next generation. He says this: after a decade with Renatus, I've gained experience across all types of real estate deals: flips, wholesaling, land development, and creative strategies. Through my journey with this group, I've discovered my niche in mobile home parks and rent-to-own deals. I now control 78 units, including 4 mobile home parks with another one under contract. My family and I now live off of our portfolio, growing our passive income year after year. If you have the chance to work with Renatus, I highly recommend it. It could change your life too. So here's a question, another brain teaser, if you will. What does Fixer Upper, Flip or Flop, Married to Real Estate, The Flip Off, Self-Made Mansions, Property Brothers all have in common? Now, I know you're going to be going, well, duh, real estate, right? So sometimes I love to see in the comments, as we're going through the webinar, I had one individual who said, yeah, 30 minutes, because they're all a reality TV show. Here's what really is on the other side of these questions. We've got real estate TV with all of these different programs. They're all great at showing you that there is money to be made in real estate without ever showing you how it's made. Well, guess what? Renatus teaches you how it's made. Listen, first and foremost, financial education. Why financial education? Because we've already talked about the challenges of academic and vocational. Financial education teaches you to have money work for you. Academic and vocational, well, they teach you how to just work for money, right? So let's talk about how we accomplish this with students literally across the country and how we've been able to do this for almost 15 years now successfully. Here's exactly what you'll get when you get involved with us in Renatus. First of all, education designed to pay for itself. Now, how's it designed to pay for itself? Well, you get to cut debt, lower taxes, negotiate smarter, and invest wiser. You're going to learn from 43 experts, 43 practitioner experts who do what they teach every single day. I mean, talk about a collective knowledge. You get 500 plus hours of wealth and real estate mastery on demand, on your phone, on your terms. You can study 24/7, wherever you are, in the comfort of your own home, in your car, or sitting on a mountain, as long as you've got cell reception. The other nice thing about it is this: you can attend live and in person if that's a preference to you as far as learning and growing and understanding the information. And we also give to our VIP students VIP early insider access. Now, in addition to all the cool things that we've been talking about, there are 11 different learning paths. Now, why are 11 different learning paths important? It's because the market shifts and changes. So your strategies need to shift and change with them. See, as long as the market's going up or the market is coming down, there's huge opportunities to make money. If it's stagnant, that requires a completely different strategy that you're going to want to involve yourself in. But each of these 11 strategies help to prepare you for whatever the market dictates. And that's why, we have our people able to succeed. And also, it's a 2-for-1 program. You get to designate a learning partner of your choice. So you're not going to do this alone. You're going to have a workout buddy, somebody you can mastermind with, somebody that can, examine the deals, work the numbers, and study the information together with you. And we also have award-winning workbooks because we want to do everything we can to really improve student outcome and give you step-by-step instruction that is easily digestible and understandable. Here's the next thing, the Renatus Documents Library. This is huge. Look at this. This is just page 1 of 20 pages. There are 389 entries. All the legal documents, forms, agreements, contracts, it's all available to you right there. This could save you thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars on legal fees in and of itself. And then we have the Renatus Community Calendar because we work cooperatively, not competitively across the country. All you got to do is just, in your back office, you're going to go into the calendar and you're going to plug in a state. And it's going to show you all the different meetings and all the different meetups and events that are taking place in the Renatus community right there at your fingertips. And then our educational dashboard, because we've kind of gamified the whole process to make sure that you can track exactly what you're learning, how you're learning it, how you're viewing it, and what your investor ID is all about. And we do it with this as our foundation, a lifetime of learning, right? Because after the first year, as long as you're in good standing with the company, and that doesn't take much, 99.999% of the folks are, they will convert to complimentary lifetime access, so that you never have to invest more money in education, in the packages that you've purchased, and you get to have updated, actionable, real-time, info, as well as new classes that are presented. And that's a huge, huge benefit. Then, man, I mentioned our Renatus iOS software. You really should watch a webinar on the specifics of that incredible tool, because that'll help you to find the deals, manage the deals, rehab the deals. I mean, it does it all. We give you 6 months of Renatus iOS access. Now, there is a monthly subscription after that if you choose to continue on with it. It's like $129 a month. But that is such a valuable tool. People just do not want to be without it, because it helps them so much in their investing. Here's another thing too. I don't know anybody else in the entire world of real estate investment education who does this. Personal one-on-one real estate coaching for your first 6 months. That's unlimited coaching for your first 6 months. So you got somebody to work with, somebody to buddy up with, somebody who is a seasoned investor to hold your hand and answer your questions and analyze the deals along with you. That is huge. Well, in addition to this, we also do weekly group Zoom coaching sessions, 52 weeks of them, so that you can tap into those. And that way, you can, get to experience that with all of the other students and investors across the country. Now, as we talk about the success that so many have enjoyed, I've got to showcase and highlight Nate Lambert, another superstar in our community, a great guy. Nate was a college professor. Now here's what he has to say. He says, using the Renatus education system and some of the software tools they provide, I've been able to find over 100 amazing flip rentals that had $30,000 to $110,000 each in equity. Many people say that there are no deals out there. Well, it's just because they don't have the education and tools to know where to find them. Alinda Rowley Jensen, another great story. And I had to abbreviate this story, but here's some of the highlights. She said this: when I discovered Renatus, I was a newly divorced single mom with no job, no money, and no credit. The weight of uncertainty was crushing. Through the course, I learned how to stop auctions, end foreclosures, manage properties, flip houses, and handle leases, all in simple, easy to understand ways. Starting from nothing, I now own multiple profitable properties. In fact, as a single mother, I was able to provide housing for all 3 of my adult children, something I would have never been able to do before. Renatus is more than just a program. It's your gateway to turning your life around and achieving genuine success. So again, let me do just a quick recap of everything we've been talking about today. I mean, the collective knowledge of 43 practitioner instructors, 500 plus hours of incredible education that's on demand, self-directed education, putting you in total control. You can turn your automobile into a university on wheels, right? We even, I don't know that I mentioned this, we've got closed captioning for hearing impaired as well as Spanish speakers, and spend a lot of time on our workbooks and materials to make sure that our Spanish speakers are taken care of. We also have award-winning course workbooks, our Renatus LMS, that's a learning management system, like your back office where you access everything. 11 different learning paths, access to our nationwide Renatus community. You also get, new and updated classes for free as a VIP in this program. You live in-person studio recording attendance. That means you can come into the studio while we're recording new classes or giving any updates and be a part of the studio audience. We also have VIP early insider access so that those individuals who can't make it to Centerville, Utah, to our studio, you can access all of those classes when we're re-recording or updating online. And that's a huge benefit because sometimes it takes us a couple of months to prepare them to get them released. You get early insider access. Another great thing, learning partner access. So in other words, you designate a learning partner, they get to come along with you on this incredible journey as well. And real estate document template library, you get 6 months of free access to our famous Renatus iOS real estate investing software, 6 months of unlimited one-on-one real estate investing coaching, as well as 52 weeks of weekly group coaching sessions to tap into, and yes, complimentary lifetime access. Now, everything that we've outlined, all the great stuff that we put out there, we did it for you. We designed it so that our students can have the best shot of becoming successful. The question I have for you is this: what would it be worth to you? I mean, obviously there is a cost associated with all of this because we've got incredible instructors. I go out and I find the very best of the best to come in and teach, and they have to be practitioners. I mean, we give you the best software, we give you the best support, the best tools, the best education, the best community to plug into. It's huge. So what would it be worth to you? Well, I can tell you this. With our so-called competitors, you know, the gurus as we talk about them, with our real estate gurus out there, people are accustomed to paying $50,000. Some have paid over $70,000 for their educational programs, and guess what? Others have even paid close to, if not more than $100,000. That's a lot, right? Renatus, we put our whole program together for a fraction of that, a fraction of what you can enjoy today for just $25,991. That's everything we've got. A lifetime of learning, all of the coaching, all of the education, all of the support, the nationwide community, everything that we've been talking about. Now, I know for some folks, they still go, whoa, but Bob, that's $25,991. Well, really? How much did college cost you? I mean, yeah, I want you to think about it. You know, make some comparisons there. And again, you should not be looking at what something costs, but what it can make you or make of you, because the greatest return on investment generally comes from an investment in yourself. And, you know, that's my personal belief about it. But you've got to work the numbers and figure some things out, right? Now, I know a lot of people, they look at that number and they still go, okay, I don't know if I can do that. Well, if you can't, here's the good news. Sometimes people say, are there other ways to get started with you guys? Well, absolutely there are. Absolutely. We have lesser educational packages for a fraction of the price, but they also have reduced benefits. I outlined every single thing that we've got. Man, if you're going to go all in and you're really going to invest in yourself and in your business, this was the very best package for you. But can you start small and kind of work your way up? Yeah, you know it. I mean, we want to make sure that we provide an opportunity for everybody out there to join us and become a part of this community. We also offer billing options for our small packages as well as even our big packages with smaller down payments and billing over time. And that helps folks to enroll and get started with us as well. And we also, in addition to these, we teach you numerous ways to find the money to get started. I'm always blown away at you know, the creative angles that people will take because they really want this education and they want to change their life. So there's a lot of different ways to get started. The simplest, easiest ones, well, if you've got credit cards and you got some room there, well, then we accept Visa, American Express, MasterCard, and Discover. I mean, if you've got it sitting in your home equity line or in your checking account, well, then just send us a check. We'll take a cashier's check or a bank check and get your education turned on so that you can immediately start accessing that. And I also want to impress this upon you. It's a 100% risk-free offer. How so? Because we believe so strongly that you're going to love your Renatus experience that we provide a 7-day, 100% money-back guarantee. That means you dig into the classes, you download the forums, you check out, you know, all of the workbooks. And if you're not 100% completely satisfied inside of 7 days, you just got to let us know. And this is not one of those difficult things where, you know, you've got to have a notary send in a letter signed by 3 attorneys. You know, it's none of that nonsense to try to get a refund. All you got to do is just send us an email, give a phone call to our customer advocates and say, hey, I checked it out. You know, you guys are great, but I just don't think this is for me, or I want to get my money back. No questions asked. They'll take care of you. That's the beauty of it. Why? Because Renatus was created to make a difference. And if you're not ready for that difference, then listen, we want you to take the time that's necessary for you to sort out your life and determine what you want to do. But if you are ready to enjoy that difference, well, then jump in, join us, right? Because an investment in your education, it isn't a cost, it's a strategy. Smarter strategies equal bigger returns. I got to introduce you to Bill Omi. I mean, this guy is such a big part of our community. I love him. Bill had this to say. He was a seasoned investor before he found us, and this is what he shared with us. He says, I've been a full-time real estate investor for 20 years. I've invested thousands of dollars in education, seminars, boot camps, and thought I knew the business. When I found Renatus Education and Community, I was skeptical. Man, that's an understatement. He says, thinking, what could you possibly teach me? But soon realized that I didn't know what I didn't know. With Renatus, I now build my business with the latest models and strategies in the business. I not only get the best continuing education and coaching in the industry, but actually have the cell phone numbers of some of the instructors and the CEO. And yes, they answer my calls. And yes, we do, Bill. We do. Another great story. Remind you this. This is education designed to pay for itself. How so? By cutting debt, lowering taxes, negotiating smarter, and investing wiser. How do we cut debt? Well, our velocity banking strategy and some of our debt reduction strategies are huge. And, Troy and Debbie Rice are great examples of that. Here's what they had to say. The velocity banking strategy allowed us to pay off my student loan and truck in just 17 months. It reduced our overall debt payments from $5,200 a month to $3,100 a month. Any way you slice it, that's $2,100 more a month in cash flow. All I can say is, thank you, Renatus. What you teach changed our lives. Regina Lumpson is another fantastic example of this. She hails from the islands of Hawaii. She said this, I couldn't sleep or function. I was about to file bankruptcy when I learned about the Renatus Velocity Banking strategy of paying off debt faster. Sure enough, with the combination of the information and the support of the Renatus community, I was able to pay off $40,000 in 6 months. Man, congratulations, Regina. So, here's some questions to think about, right? Because our discussion today is to get you acquainted with Renatus so you can determine whether or not this is something you'd like to be involved with. So let me ask you a few questions. And I want you to really think about these. How would your life change if you knew exactly how to save thousands of dollars on your taxes legally every year? How would it feel to know that real estate rents are coming in even if you're asleep or on vacation? How valuable would it be to have access to successful mentors who've already achieved what you're dreaming about? And what would your life look like in 5 years if you began successfully investing in real estate today? Well, another big question. And this is one of those questions that you kind of let settle in a little bit. It might sting. If nothing changes in your life financially, how are you going to feel in 5 years from now? Or are you willing to accept your current financial reality as permanent? Great questions to think about. Here's the last one. Then is there any reason why you wouldn't want to move forward today and get started with Renatus? Listen, if you're serious about success, we're serious. Listen, if you're serious about success, we are serious about helping you succeed. That's the beauty of this community. Because with Renatus, you get to say goodbye to uncertainty and the challenges that go along with that. You get to say goodbye to confusion because of our step-by-step courses and frameworks that we've created. You get to say goodbye to slow or inefficient business processes because we're going to show you how to leverage automation. Say goodbye to the fear of costly mistakes because you're going to learn the collective wisdom of 43 experienced practitioner instructors. They're going to show you what to do and what not to do, right? Again, the recap of what you're going to get when you join Renatus today, I don't have to talk about every single bullet point, but I'll leave it on the screen for just a minute because here's the first page. Here's the second page. This is what you get when you get involved with us as a VIP, with education that is designed to pay for itself. How so? Again, cut debt, lower taxes, negotiate smarter, and invest wiser. You get to enjoy a lifetime of education and support for just $25,991. If you're ready to change your life, man, we want to work with you and we want to help assist you. On your screen, well, there's a link there, and there's also a QR code, right? That link and that QR code are designed to take you to our calendar so that you can schedule a strategy session. That's all you're going to do. You're going to schedule a strategy session. And I would encourage you to do that. So go to renatus.me/invest, or use your QR code in your camera there to, to take you to that calendar. But when you schedule a strategy session, this is a low pressure, but really investigative strategy session. In other words, we want to know exactly what you are looking for, what challenges you'd like to overcome, what solutions you're looking for in your life. And then we're going to try to craft a way to work together. If we're a good fit, and you're a good fit for us, then it may be that it makes sense to move ahead. But during the strategy session, if for some reason, we kind of come to an agreement that, maybe this is not the right time or the right opportunity for you, we're going to let you know, and you're going to know. So let's have a very, informative, just wonderful, exploratory conversation and figure out whether everything that we've explained is really what you need in your life right now. Just use the QR code below or schedule a strategy session, to make it happen. In closing, I just want to share a story with you because this was a game changer for me. I call it get in the game. This was years ago. Man, I think the year was around 1990. Ty Detmer was the quarterback for Brigham Young University. Now, I know some of you are going to go, BYU, you're a BYU fan? Well, yeah, I am, but I also enjoy other college teams as well. But I'll never forget, because I was present at this game. And being a BYU fan, we had a lot of challenges back then. We were in the Wacky WAC. The WAC was the conference that, everybody said, well, the reason why you've got such a great track record of success isn't because you're that good. It's because all the other teams are that bad. And we could not get respect, right? So we had the University of Miami Hurricanes coming to town. They were the defending national champion, and they were ranked #1 in the polls, and they were coming into Cougar Stadium. And we were going to be showcased on ESPN, national broadcast. I mean, man, you want to see excitement in the crowd. We were thrilled that we were going to get that kind of exposure, but at the same time, we were terrified at what might be the outcome. We just didn't want to get embarrassed on national television. So we all came into the stadium with, I think, low expectations, right? And a lot of prayer. Isn't it a funny thing, man, that here we are, we're all God's children, and we're always praying that we want, to destroy our competitors. Please, let us destroy the other team. Anyway, that's a side note, not something to get into in this discussion. But here's what happened. Man, Ty Detmer and the Cougars were flawless. They were incredible. It was an amazing day on the field, man. I mean, we watched Detmer complete passes. I don't know how in the world he did it. He got out of tackles that I thought that is not even something that is reasonably possible. And then we came down to the 2-minute mark. 2 minutes left in the game. And we were ahead. I mean, we were ahead of the #1 team in the nation, right? And I'll never forget, there was a little bit of celebration, but at the same time, we were all on pins and needles, man. There was that built up anticipation. And that last 2 minutes was tough. Why? Because we had to punt the ball back to the #1 offense in the nation. And we had to defend it with, I think the Cougars were like the 67th ranked defense in the nation. Not a good matchup, right? For these last 2 minutes. And man, you could hear a pin drop. Everybody was just sitting there going, please, please. Well, the clock ticked. The game went on. And when it struck 0, the Cougars were still ahead. There was an explosion of enthusiasm. All that pent up anticipation just erupted in the stands. It was so fun. It was so cool. Emotions, enthusiasm was just overflowing. And you want to see something really entertaining? Watch 65,000 conservative Christians rush the football field to vandalize the goalposts. And that is exactly what happened that day. But I was up in the stands, and I remember people celebrating all around me. Just a few benches down, there was a gal there, and she was jumping up and down, and she was going, "We won! We won! We won! We won!" And you know, you kind of get caught up in it. But for some reason, I had a moment of reflection. I sat there and I thought, "Huh? No, we didn't win. We watched. They won." Let me ask you. You ever made any money being a spectator? Then isn't it time to get in the game? Man, come join us. We got an incredible community. We got mind-blowing support systems and education and tools and software to really help simplify the real estate investing process and to set you up for higher, greater wins and to reduce the risk of investing, which also increases the probability of success. We love what we do. We're very biased about it, obviously. We want you to educate things so you can make an intelligent, informed decision. But listen, if you're ready to change your life, we're here to support you. And we look forward to doing just that. I appreciate the time that, we've spent together today. Schedule an appointment. Let's do a strategy session. Let's figure out whether you're a good fit for us and whether we're a good fit for you. Until then, I want to say good day and God bless. Thanks for joining us on the webinar today.